Here we go. So today's podcast and Young Nation show is brought to you by Room 215. One of my biggest and best learning experiences. Not necessarily a failure, just an expensive lesson. We've got my good friend Martin Nelson here, who is the owner of IGI, which is International Global Impact, and it is a nonprofit out of Haiti, correct?
Yes, out of Haiti.
And would love for you to go into it and explain to people what it is and how you got started.
First and foremost, thanks for having me on here. It's an honor. Couldn't wait to do this ever since I heard about it. It was introduced to you by a good friend, and he actually joined me on the IGI whole initiative. But Impact Global International started in Haiti just based on trying to solve a problem, an epidemic. I've been to Haiti for many different times. I've traveled the country, traveled the world, and I've seen, a lot of different issues. But, for some reason, waste management seemed like something that was always stuck out to me. And I saw, diseases. I saw, kids playing in trash. I saw animals eating from trash, same animals that we're eating. And
from traveling the world?
Well, just seeing that same issue persist.
Okay.
And Haiti's very close to home because we did a lot of mission work there as a kid. And I saw, I was like, nobody's doing anything with this garbage. And I was like, hey, let's create a viable solution. Let's use this garbage and turn it into energy. Let's turn it into a resource that the community can use. So the first time I went to Haiti, as an adolescent, 12 to 13 years old, I was like, what do they do with this garbage?
Were you born here in Haiti?
I was born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
Okay.
But my parents, we were growing up, did a lot of mission work all over the country. But we would go to Haiti the most because it was closer to home, per se. And they, it was kind of in their roots. So when I would go to Haiti, I would see this persistent problem of garbage everywhere I went. Literally in the water, in the streets, where people are eating, no matter where they're at, it's there. And my parents would do a lot of good mission work, give out clothes, shoes, toys, all that great stuff, but it wasn't sustainable.
Right.
So it's like here today, gone tomorrow, and it's like the same problems persist. People don't have jobs, people don't have opportunity, and we have an epidemic that's slowly destroying the environment. And the whole initiative behind Impact Global International is to empower communities, renewable communities is what we like to call them, to be aware of the environmental impact that's being, and to find ways to create viable solutions. I don't know how much you know about actual renewable energy, but it's pretty much the way of the future.
Definitely. I know some of it, obviously solar power and recycling. I've always been part of it. I'm a big fan of the earth.
Yeah.
So, but how are you doing it either differently or in your special way in your company?
Well,
nonprofit.
What makes us different, I would say, is our engagement with the community.
Okay.
I believe.
And where in Haiti is this?
We're in the northwestern department, in Saint-Louis-du-Nord and Port-de-Paix. And there's a lot of neighboring villages and cities. And we're engaging with that community because you could be a large company, just go in there, initiate a plan, start all these garbage pickup routes. But then if you don't have community engagement, then you've wasted a whole investment. The whole investment is to invest in the community and the people. Because if they don't buy in, nothing is produced. You don't have a byproduct.
So when you, how old is it?
We're 2 years old now. Well, come May, we'll be 2 years old.
2 years old. Okay, so I don't know if I missed it. What? So when did you first think I'm going to Haiti? I'm going to do this, and how did you kind of develop that plan? Because I feel for a lot of people our age, doing something like that just seems out of our league. Yeah. We're so young, and we can't do these things, or we don't have the outlets or the resources, whatever it may be. So what was like your plan of attack from day one? Like, this is what I want to do, and this is how I'm going to get there.
So it really started, I'll kind of give you the background. It really started with a business plan competition at the University of South Florida, and I entered it out of 90 contestants. We were selected top 10. And that forced me to go to Haiti to actually do research. It was the first time I went to Haiti with an intention to start something that's far beyond my league.
Right.
But I had no doubts at that time. So I went to Haiti, did research, talked to some local authorities, talked to people in the community, and documented pictures, videos, and just looking at the situation for what it is. The raw images, raw content, just looking at it, it's like, man, we have a real problem here.
Right.
But we also have a real solution. And because I had a real problem and a real solution, I didn't see doubt. I didn't see...
How'd you pick the solution, though? So you see the problem, then what's your method to find the solution?
Well, it was research and talking to the right people. So when I got back to the States, I'm talking about, like, what are we doing with garbage here? What are we doing? What are people doing with garbage worldwide? So I look at Europe, I look at their model, I look at the United States, their model, India, and people are using garbage to create energy, to create resources, literally using the gas from garbage to create power for generators, use it to create biofuels, biodiesel, and also using the char that comes from the residue of the waste to create fertilizer and construction material. So I thought this as like, this is a way to create a resourceful community. So I brought back this business model, got together with some plant operators, superintendents, and they told me the proof of concept is already there. We're already doing this. So to take this into a place like Haiti, you just have to be very strategic and very intentional. Know that not only you have a community there, but you also have a business. You have a resource. You have byproducts that comes from this. And that's how it all got started. And we presented it in front of the business plan competition. We didn't win. But what that created for me is that spark. It was like, hey, there's no limits. My age doesn't matter. My experience doesn't matter. It's my ambition and what keeps my engine going, my passion.
Right. So then your first year, how'd that go?
Well, it's very rough, to be honest with you, because it was mostly a campaign about awareness, just raising the awareness. Like, a lot of people, when they hear Haiti, they hear the poorest country in the third world, in the Western Hemisphere, third world country, so many NGOs pouring into them, people that can't help themselves. That's what people hear. That's the cliche almost. But they didn't isolate the problems. Like, hey, there is a problem with education. There's a problem with garbage. There's a problem with, corruption. They're not isolating. They're just putting all in one. Oh, they're poor people. Like, they're cast-offs or castaways. And I looked at it and said, man, we need to let people know. We need to shine some light on this. So the first year was really rough because we're raising awareness, putting a solid team of people together, people that are not only understand the process, but actually have a passion to go after it.
Right.
Because like you said before, it's almost out of our league at 24, 23, even for a 30-year-old, it's like, what?
Right,
Taking on,
doing it.
Yeah, how we're going to do this. So the first year was rough, but then we started getting a lot of buy-in, like a lot of people that really supported what we're doing. And we took a couple of trips to Haiti, talked to the local authorities, and it was great seeing people with significant roles in the country, actually take ownership to what we were saying. Like, wow,
who are these people? Didn't you meet with like the president? Or?
Yeah, so we went to this huge banquet in Haiti last year, and we sat down with the mayor, the senator, we sat down with the prime minister, and we're talking to these people one-on-one. They're talking to us like we're one of them. And it was just a very unrealistic feeling, almost like, well, this is unreal because we have a dream, we have a mission, and people are like, they're listening in. They're like, how do we do this? And not only that, we were putting work in. Like, we're working within their communities. Like, we're bringing people together, and they see that, and they admired it, And I remember sitting in the mayor's office, and he said, "Man, I'll give you the keys to the city. Just keep carrying this dream forward." And that was very encouraging. And talking to certain people, like, you talk to the guy on the street, you tell him a great idea, he's like, "Yeah, great." But if the mayor's telling you that's a different story, it's like, man, that's pretty awesome,
Yeah, it's pretty, that's pretty much why I wanted to start this, stories like that showcase not just the success. So when you're 20 years old, so 20-year-old Blake wanted to be Richard Branson, I wanted to be Mark Cuban. Like, these are the people that I was comparing myself to. And it's so far. So they're at 20 years old, they were 100 steps ahead of me. In today's world, they might be at 24, they might be 20 or 80 steps ahead of me. I'm at step 20. So I wanted the kids that are at step 0 it's difficult for them to look, it's daunting for them to look at Mark Cuban, Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, because these people have reached such levels of success. But when they look at someone that is 20 steps ahead of them, like you or I, it's a lot more manageable. It's a lot more tangible for them to grasp the idea and see, okay, this is how I get there.
Yeah.
And then it's also when they can see us fail. That's why I wear shirts like this still, because I don't hide my fears, I don't hide my failures. They're part of me, and they've made me who I am today.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people think it's going to be, roses all the way to step 100, and it's not. So I like seeing, the struggles. And then it comes into the play, the harder you work, the luckier you get. And it's a reality because you work so hard, and then things just, the universe just wants to help you, and doors open that you didn't even know existed. And next thing you know, you're sitting next to the prime minister, and you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah. And it's true, because people see you just came in yesterday, and somehow the way you're sitting in front of authoritative people that are hard to catch. These guys are always traveling. They're from this end to that end. You may know their home address, but that doesn't mean they're going to be there. And this guy took time out of his schedule to come talk to me. And that's a great point you made too, is just being that example for the kids that are coming up today to say, man, if he could do it, I could do it too. Because that's like the most humbling thing that happened to me during this whole journey, and it's still happening now, is watching the children come up to us and be inspired. Take, like, whoa, wait. I remember, this is the greatest testimony I ever had. We got the kids together, and we're like, hey, we're going to do a beach cleanup today. We're going to tell you the importance of what it means to recycle and to keep the earth clean. One kid came up to me like, of course. Yeah, because if we keep this area clean, then we'll have a place to play, and then we can attract tourism. And I'm just like, wow, this kid could have been like more than 7 or 8 years old, but his mind was already so, to me, I'm like, wow, like I wasn't thinking like that 7, 8 years old.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, I'm going to play at the beach, but he's thinking like, if I clean this area up, I can create an opportunity for myself. I can create an opportunity for my community. And that's, if IGI fails, if IGI doesn't get to do what it did because it inspired someone else to do something greater.
Right, absolutely. And that's a beautiful thing, because it's sometimes your ego is what scares you from going after what you really want to do. And because you're so scared of what other people are going to think of you.
Yeah.
And you have to put that aside, because in reality what you're doing is to help other people.
Yeah.
And if you can touch one life, then you've made all the difference, because you might not be the one that ends up changing the world. That might not even be what you want to do, but you may inspire someone that does.
Yes.
So that's why I do this. That's why I do motivational speaking. That's why I preach what I practice, and I preach it to anybody that's willing to listen. And if they ask questions, I've got answers.
Yeah. And I think that is needed much more than any time in like eternity. Why? Because we're having a generation of people that don't know how to identify themselves, don't know where to go.
Right.
They don't know who to even look up to. And the people they're looking up to is not really presenting what they do with their life. They're just talk about what's trending.
Oh, well, when you put it, when you put it, what's trending, you're comparing yourself to something that you may not even want to be.
Exactly.
So that's the worst part about it. Like, if you want to go and be a rock star, you want to be a rapper, do it.
Yeah.
But if you don't, that's the issue, because those people, unless you look for someone to look up to, you do your research to find someone that you can look up to, they're not exposed. They're not out there like the Kardashians, or the Lil Pump or Drake. And if those are the people that you want to be, great, go ahead.
Yeah.
But when you're wanting to be, for you, for instance, you created a nonprofit. Who do you look up to that are like the people that do nonprofits? Like, where's those CEOs? Where's those creators? And why aren't they publicized in the media?
Yeah.
Like, this guy just saved 10,000 people, or this guy just changed the lives of an entire country. Where are those people?
Yeah.
And why aren't those people publicized?
Yeah.
Why are we publicizing sex tapes and guns and things of that nature?
And scandals, and
just scandals, all the time, anything.
And then I think that's what's so important about what you're doing, is because we need to keep highlighting the positivity that's still in this world.
Right.
Because
there's a lot of it. We're at the best time ever.
Yes, because people are doing great things. There's still people with great hearts here, but it seems like now in this generation we're highlighting so much negativity that it's instilling fear in the ones coming up. Like, now teachers have guns in classes.
Yeah, that's wild. I'm pretty sure I read the other day there was a shooting, and it was by a teacher with a gun. And I don't necessarily want to get too much into the gun topic, because it's a tough situation.
Yeah.
But I think you got to be very careful with mental health in this world, and the way that we work with mental health issues, because the way kids are being brought up around all this technology and all this negativity, it's going to cause more issues. The fact that people build their identity through what other people think of them, or what we think other people think of us.
Yeah.
They don't even create their own identity within. And they're creating their identity on Instagram, on Facebook, on social platforms, which is really sad, because not a lot of people, not even our age, but not a lot of people in the world, if you look them in the eye and say, "Who are you?" they can't give you a solid answer, because they've never been asked that question.
Yeah.
They've never looked themselves in the mirror and say, "Who am I? And how did I get here? And what do I like? And where do I want to go? What are my goals, my ambitions?" It's just, you kind of just follow the crowd, and you're taught to not bump into the walls across on your journey. You just kind of follow this path, and that's just society. It's just a bunch of sheep.
Yeah. We live in an age of followers, and I think one of the most and I think the most important thing in what you're doing and what I'm doing with this nonprofit is empowering young leaders, young innovative pioneers to the future, because the things that we're not thinking of, they're the ones that are going to have to think of it to do it and make it happen in this world. And that's why it's so important, because we live in a comparable where everybody has a comparable destiny. I'm going to compare myself to you, and if I'm not good enough, then man, and like, everyone's comparing themselves. Like, I'm going down somebody's timeline going, dang, oh my gosh.
Yeah, and that right there, so this guy's better than me. This girl's better looking than me. This guy's got better abs than I do. This guy's got a nicer car, a nicer boat, a nicer yacht, a nicer house, a better life. He's just got a better life than me.
Yeah.
And that right there is more mental damage to that person than what would happen over a lifetime 100 years ago.
For sure.
Because you would never even see this. Today, at the gym, if I'm on a treadmill, I'm looking at 6 screens, and it's school shooting, school stabbing, bombing, kid got kidnapped, police brutality, and it's like, where am I living?
Yeah.
Because it seems to me like I'm in a war zone.
Yes, exactly.
But then I drive down the street and everything's fine. So it makes me question why we promote negativity all the time, especially to our youth.
Yeah, and
ingraining that.
We're ingraining fear into them, and I don't. This might sound a little, crazy or conspiracist, but we weren't made to fear. We weren't made to fear. These false realities are causing us to create these imaginary scenarios in our mind to the point where things are happening, bad things are happening regardless, right? But we are not supposed to live in fear, but to live authoritatively. Why were you able to start your businesses? Why were you able to do the things you did? Because you lived in authority. You made it happen. You said, I have a goal, I have a solution, I have a plan. I'm going to go after it. Win, lose, or draw, there's going to be a result that comes from this. Now you can wear that shirt and say, man, you know what? I'm making something out of nothing.
Exactly.
And I think the problem now is we instill so much fear that people are afraid of their own ambition. People are afraid of their own ideas. Like, no, that probably won't work. Oh, nah, man, it's too dangerous. And we live in these false realities because when I go out, they're saying, oh, people are savages, people are killers and murderers. I see good people still.
Right. I'm not walking the grocery store like, damn, this guy's going to kill me.
Yeah. I meet people that are, genuinely smiling at me, and I'm going to foreign countries meeting people that are so chivalrous, people that are so loving. It's like almost like, oh my goodness. I'm walking by people that are saying good morning to me, that are saying, hey, you want some coffee? I don't know you, but you're offering me all these great things. And I just go, wow, why aren't these things being highlighted?
They don't sell, at least for now.
Yeah, and I think
we got to change that.
Yeah, I think that's part of what we're doing is we're selling that. We're selling hope. We're selling that mankind. It's like almost making it seem like this is lost civilization. No, we're still here, and we still have those virtues instilled in us that make us who we are. And I feel like today children are smarter, more innovative, more creative than they've ever been, and we need to bring that light out of them. No doubt, no matter what we do, whether it's like a tech startup, whether it's a nonprofit, whether it's a lawn mowing company, whatever you're doing, shed some light, and you never know what you might spark.
Right. That lawnmower company might turn into, a maintenance company who gets you into real estate, and then gets you into a managing real estate, and then, you're a real estate mogul from a lawnmower company.
Exactly.
Like me, for instance, I threw a party one time, made some money, and then I realized I could do this in 10 cities, and I could staff places, and I could start a marketing company, and I could get big promotional deals and marketing deals. And, I've worked with Hollywood studios on marketing deals.
Wow.
And all from something I started when I was 20. So that's my thing. Like, I don't look at life as be realistic. Be realistic? The fact that I'm doing this isn't realistic. The fact that I have a phone that I can call my mom on who is on the other side of the planet and I can FaceTime her and see her face in real time is not realistic. The fact that we get into a gigantic metal tube and sit in a chair 30,000 feet in the air called a plane is not realistic.
It's not realistic.
So when people say, oh, that's not realistic, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
And I don't live like that.
Yeah.
And I don't think anybody should live like that, because if you look around you, what's going on isn't realistic.
Yeah, it's so true. And then if you think about your background, where you came from, it's like reality. What is that? I've already altered reality.
Exactly.
Because everything that you thought was real, I defied all of it. You said, man, you know what? You come from a really poor family. You can't become anything better. But then you're like, I graduated from college. I've met some great people along the way. I've had great successes. I've had great failures. So reality to me, I feel like I'm in charge of that. You can't tell me what reality is. And like you said, man, if somebody told the Wright brothers, hey, man, y'all not flying that plane. But look at us now.
Right. Like people are flying in private jets. Not us yet, but
yeah, we'll get there.
Soon.
We'll get there.
We're flying in what Elon Musk is going after. He's trying to go to Mars. And he can do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't doubt the man.
No.
He's already landed jets.
Yeah.
Or not jets, rocket ships.
Yeah. And we have to instill that in the youth, that possibilities are subjected to your effort. This is what effort are you willing to put into it? How much are you willing to be committed to your successes and your failures? You know, because you need both for the process. How committed are you to create your reality? Because no one has power over your reality. You know, if Elon Musk says, hey, I'm going to drop a rocket in Mars, it's not up to us to say he can't. It's up to him.
Exactly.
You know?
You're in charge. You're in the driver's seat. And until you realize that, you're in the back middle seat. And you got a guy driving you wherever he wants to go.
I promise you.
You're on a school bus full of kids. You know, where are we going? I have no idea. Yeah. We're all just shuffling through life.
What?
Until you get in that driver's seat. No, I'm going this way. You guys can go wherever you want, but this
is my direction.
Is my direction.
Yeah, and that's to bring it back to where we were doing in Haiti. When I was telling these children at the beach that, hey, look, if you transform this beach, you can create a resourceful community. Not one of them said, no way, I can't believe it. They looked at it like, okay, when can we start? Like, what do we do? And they had their gloves on, they had their bags ready, and they're just thinking like, oh, we can do this, we can do that. They're coming up with ideas that I never even thought of. And I think I'm over here carrying out a vision, but they're the real visionaries. You see, and that's what we mess up a lot of the times. We let our ego get in the way so much that reality, then we start doubting ourselves, then we start comparing ourselves, and all these different aspects of losing focus in that direction, you know? And those children had more direction than I did because they had a vision. So, like, how have you sparked the vision? How have you done it?
Recently, or, you know, a few years ago, my brother told me something that changed my life. He goes, Blake, if money wasn't an issue and you could do anything you wanted right now, which is what most people can do, what would you do? And ask yourself that. If money wasn't an issue, you're good, and you know you're not worried about finances, and you can do whatever you want. What would you do right now? And then write that down, and then work backwards from that. So, okay, I'm not financially capable of doing this right now. You know, say I want to be a motivational speaker.
Yeah.
You can't go be a motivational speaker if you're not making any money, because you need to pay your bills, unless you're getting money from motivational speaking. But at the first time, you're not going to do it. So you want to be a DJ, you know, you got to have a side job.
Yeah.
And you got to pay your bills. Like my best friend, his name is Jake Ricca. He's a comedian, but the man works a 9 to 5, and he's a bouncer.
Wow.
And he's doing stand-up comedy. So he wakes up at 7 a.m., drives an hour to his job, works till 6 p.m., drives an hour home, goes to his comedy, and then goes and works bouncing after. He does it every day.
Wow.
But that's because it's his passion. It's the only way he can do it.
Yeah.
You know, so I think people need to just get in the driver's seat and figure out where they want to go. And then once you figure that out, you got to make a plan.
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, that's a really deep question. What would you do if you had no other worries in this world, like money? You know, that's purpose. That's literally asking someone, what is your purpose?
Well, I think it's like a triangle. So, you know, you're at the, and it's unfortunate that some people can't get away from the bottom part of the triangle, though. So you're starting at the bottom, right? And that group of people, they're not financially independent. They're not financially safe. They can't pay. They're worried about putting food on the table, which is a natural instinct to be able to survive. They are surviving, you know, and that's very sad because they can't reach that next level if they're starved. So the next level above them is the group where they're able to pay rent, right? But they pay rent on time. They don't have all the money in the world, so they're focused on going to the job, getting the money, to make sure that like there's food on the table and everything's fine. And then the group above them, I think, is when you're financially independent, right? You're not worried about supercars, you're not worried about super yachts, you're not worried about any of this because like you're comfortable. You know, you have a house, you got plenty of money in the bank, you're not worried about it. And then you start to wonder, like, what am I doing this job for? I'm not interested in this. And then you start to wonder, why are we all here? And you can ask yourself these questions because they're not survival questions. These are like conscious questions that people can only even begin to ask when their mind's not clouded with other things.
Yeah.
And so that's why you see, when you get to like that level, right, you see really rich people. And then the other levels, you're like, man, I want a Ferrari, I want a Lamborghini, I want to do all this stuff, right? And then what you don't realize is that like that car is just a little bit faster than your Corolla. That house is just a little bit bigger than your house. That boat, it might be nicer than your non-existent boat or nicer than, your boat. So you can't just chase one up because it's never going to fulfill you.
No.
So even people like Dan Bilzerian, he said this. I saw it on Joe Rogan's podcast. He's like, I've eaten at the nicest restaurants. I drive the nicest cars. I fly private. I stay in the nicest hotels. And you get used to it. Wow. The human race can get used to anything. So he was saying that even the nicest things that would bring people from, lower on the totem pole, that would bring them a joy of, on a scale from 1 to 10, that would bring them a joy of 12. Like put him in a Lamborghini. But you know what? After a while, that guy's going to get used to it. So this brings me to a book I was reading. It's called A Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And he is a Holocaust survivor and also the creator of logotherapy. So in his book, he finds meaning as a survivor or during the Holocaust. And that's where I get that quote, men can get used to anything, because he got used to eating a tiny piece of bread and working in freezing temperatures with basically barefoot and torn up clothes, mentally, physically abused. And he got used to it. And so he said, the only thing that kept me going was meaning, my life's work, the hope of seeing my wife and kids, creating logotherapy. That got him through the Holocaust.
Wow.
So when you've got a purpose, a passion, that'll get you through anything.
Yeah.
That'll beat any storm, because you cannot stop a man that knows where he's going.
Yeah. Can't. There's no roadblock in the way.
So you got to just be able to visualize yourself like, all right, I might not have all this stuff now. I may not be financially secure right now, but I know where I'm going. So if I tell you right now, Martin, there's a lot of corners in this room, right? Okay, I want you to go to a corner in the room. You're going to look at me and say, which corner?
Yeah.
There's a lot of corners, Blake. Where am I going? But if I say, hey, I want you to go to that corner in the room. But in the way, there's this table, there's a chair, there's a couch, and you got to find your way around those things. But you're still going to that corner because you know where you're going. So you might, in life, if you know where you're going, there may be obstacles on the way that you can overcome or go around or beat out, but you still know where you're going. And if you don't know where you're going, you're just shuffling through life. Because you never know, because the right place might be that corner over there, and you might be heading that way.
That's true, man. And one of my favorite quotes is, stumbling blocks built a mansion. So like the same blocks that you stumbled upon, you keep building on those. One day you'll build a very, very nice mansion for yourself, with the right direction, with the right focus. And that's a great example, because people think it's supposed to be a breeze. Look at that man. He went through the Holocaust, cold winters, eating almost nothing, coming from nothing. And then, writing books now, inspiring young people like you and me. That's, like, come on. If that's not purpose, if that's not fulfillment, then what is? You know what I mean?
Right.
Then what is? I read a book called Purpose Driven Life by Rick Warren. And he was quoting the richest man to ever live. It's like almost like a hypothetical story. He said, I've drank the finest wine. I've had the most beautiful women. I've had the nicest luxuries in this world, the most exquisite luxuries that this world has to offer. But it all was meaningless if you didn't know your purpose, if you didn't know who you were. Like, that's insane. Because people think once you get those things, that's it. I'm good. I'm set. But like you said, the richest people in the world get used to it, then what?
Then you die. So I live by a quote, if you're not living, you're dying. And if you're not learning, you're not living. So you gotta live with passion. You gotta live with love. You gotta know where you're going, why you're going there. Your why. What's your why?
Yeah.
And so for me, it's, and I'm really hard on myself. I know that I want to help a lot of people. That's why I'm starting this. But I also have other businesses and other obligations, and I can't just. Yes, I have savings that I could live off of for a while. Well, say I got this off the ground, but I also like business, and I've got responsibilities to the people I work with and the people that work for me that I can't just say, all right, I'm out.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going through. I know there's things I need to do in order to get to where I'm going to be, which is helping a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now I might be touching a few people, but I want to get to touching a lot of people.
Yeah.
I want to help those people out. And so that's why we're doing this, because again, the idea of I'm 20 years old and I'm looking at a 6-year-old billionaire. There's a lot of time between us and there's a lot of steps in between us.
Yeah.
But when you break it down, that's how you know it's possible. But it's a lot easier to look at us at 23, 24 years old. A 20-year-old looks at us at 23, 24 and says, okay, that's how they did it. And but what they're watching is our failures too.
Yeah.
So when you're a billionaire, you're not going to discuss you can discuss your failures, and I'm sure they do, but it's not as relevant anymore compared to what they've done. When they were 24, what were they doing? I don't know. So for me, for instance, in this past summer was a really tough summer for me. Even though I had things, I thought I was killing it. I had a bar. I just got back from Asia, and I'd started a bar. I had my company. All my friends were there. I had a girlfriend who I really cared about. I was living large, I had this 3-story house with 3 of my buddies, and we were just enjoying it, And then things started to change. So, my brother, along with my best friends, they all graduated college and they moved, And then we were focusing so much on the bar that we started to let go of Top Tier and Top Tier Gainesville. And Top Tier Gainesville almost disappeared. So our one expansion almost disappeared. Our current business in Tallahassee was diminishing or plummeting. And we were going to hell and back to have this bar stay over, its head over water. So in the midst of all this, all my friends leave. Top Tier's doing poorly. We actually drafted and went negative in our bank account. Overdrafted our bank account, went negative, so we were broke. We had no money. And that's never happened to us. And then the bar gets shut down or sold from underneath our feet. We didn't even know it was sold.
Wow.
And then my girlfriend broke up with me and moved to another part of the country. So I'm sitting there looking at my life 6 months ago thinking, how the hell did this just happen? I was riding high, and it just shot me down. So that's where I started to think, how do I get out of this? It was the second time in my life that I was at rock bottom, and nothing was helping. It just didn't. I was reading every book. I was watching every motivational speaker. I was listening to Les Brown. I was just the greats of the world, and I couldn't get out of this rut. So I started to think because I thought maybe it was my girlfriend or it was the bar, and when I talked about those things, it wasn't that. It was so much deeper.
Yeah.
And that was the first time that I realized in my life I was alone. So my whole 0 to 18 you're with your parents, most of the people. After that, I went to college, and then right after college, first time I was alone. And I was alone like that. All my friends disappeared, my girlfriend disappeared, my business went down, my bar disappeared. I was dead alone. And so that's when I started to realize I didn't love myself.
Wow.
So I started working on myself, building myself. And I'll never forget it. So that's when I started reading and all the books and the motivational speakers. And I started to realize, okay, I got self-love now. I know who I am. I know where I'm going. I feel confident now. And I was walking down the street. I'm taking me to breakfast.
Wow.
And I said it out loud for the first time ever. I say it out loud by myself on the street. I say, I love you, Blake. And then I answered myself and said, I love you too, Blake.
Wow.
Because now, I'm whole. Now you can't touch me. You can't stop me. Because I know where I'm going. I know who I am. And I love myself. Self-love is something that most people don't have. Most people don't even think about it.
No.
And it's not about being selfish. It's about putting yourself first in order to, you got to be the best you to be able to help other people.
Yeah.
You can't just give yourself up to other people if you don't even know who you are. You got to take care of yourself. You got to take care of your mind, body, soul to make sure that you are whole so that you can do what you're put here to do. Because if not, you'll never be able to achieve those things. So there is a sense of selfishness that you need to have. And it's not ego, but it's caring and self-love.
Wow, that's powerful, because people use the word selfishness as such a negative connotation. But really that selfishness there is almost being selfless, because the only reason you're being selfish in that time period, in that frame, you're in the cocoon, is so you can show the beauty to the rest of the world and inspire them. Because having that self-love, and people can really feel that, like, man, this person really loves himself, and he makes me feel a lot better about myself. And you can't help no one until you help yourself, man. That's key. That was powerful, to be honest. That was just really powerful, because I think that's something that we fight a lot. A lot of people are depressed. A lot of people are not happy with their job. A lot of people are not happy with where they're at in life. A lot of people, like we talked about earlier, are comparing themselves to others. So they have a hard time embracing themselves. It's hard to say I love myself in public, just to yourself.
Yeah, you find yourself apologizing to you, for you. Oh man, my bad. Or you do things and you don't want to, but you do it because you think you should.
Yeah.
And you beat yourself up as you're doing it. Like, hey, Blake, can you do me this favor? No, I got things to do.
Yeah.
I have to do this in order to get there. So I'm sorry, but I can't do that for you.
Yeah.
And people respect that as opposed to, yeah, I'll do it. And you go into a half-assed job.
Yeah. And you can't go into it giving these weak sacrifices. Because if you're just sacrificing that means you're just a slain lamb. And you're just a piece of meat. I'm sorry, they're just throwing around. But if you're assertive, you believe in yourself, you have confidence, and you say what you mean what you say. I think a lot of people don't know themselves, so they just give up their word for anything, and they can't even hold up to their own word.
Right. And
your word is the most powerful thing you have.
Right.
People throw around the word "I love you." They throw it "I appreciate." Those words are powerful, but if you don't mean what you say, then you yourself have no meaning. And you hit up a great point on believing in oneself. You have to lose everything. You almost have to strip yourself of everything that you thought had value to see, do you even value yourself?
Right.
In the midst of all that.
And you should be looking for that. One of the best business things I ever learned, going off what you were saying, is on your word, is so people, they get uncomfortable when it's quiet. And I use this as a tactic in business meetings. So people get real uncomfortable when everybody just gets quiet. So they just start spewing.
Yeah, just
and for me, it's great, spew away, because I'm not saying anything. You could talk, you could talk, you could talk, you could talk, and by the end, I'll know what you're thinking. I don't know what you want, and I'll know how to win for me.
Yeah.
Because I'm always the last to speak, and the last to speak is always the one that wins.
Wins, yeah, for sure. Because everybody shows their hand eventually.
Exactly. It's a game of poker.
Yeah. Everybody's over here. And you're not even bluffing. You're just playing your hand. And everybody's over here just Hey, look.
Well, I'm okay with silence.
Yeah.
I'm okay with understanding. I genuinely care what everyone has to say, you know, and that's how I'm going to formulate my opinion, as opposed to just someone says something, I think something, and I impulse shoot out a random thought that I can't even hold as my own, you know. And that's another thing that people don't really. You got to be careful. So you read a book, you listen to a speaker, you listen to someone your friend taught you, something your mom, your dad taught you, something when you're younger. Like, you got to be careful what thoughts you make your own.
Yeah.
Just because someone else said it doesn't mean it should be your thought.
Yeah, for sure.
And you need to be very careful with that, because then you find yourself not being you, and you are someone else. You got to question everything you say, everything you hear,
to see how much of that is really influenced by you and your core beliefs.
How much you actually believe it, right?
Yeah.
Your moral compass that says, yeah, I agree with that, or do you just agree with that because that's what everybody says? That's the hype.
That's the hype. That's what's viral. That's what's trending.
You got to be very careful.
Yeah. And those things are hard to identify if you can't even identify with yourself. And it's a strong testimony to pretty much, I would say, the theme here, you know, empowerment. Like, how are you going to empower someone? How are you going to motivate somebody? How are you going to inspire someone? People can see a bluff. People can hear it. They can feel it. If what you say right now doesn't hold its weight, people will hear it instantly. But I felt that. Man. Like, that's a strong testimony, man. Like, literally having these great successes and everything hit rock bottom, and you're there left with yourself, and you have this reflection of yourself, and you start looking and saying, who are you? Why are you here?
Right. Start questioning yourself. Start asking yourself questions. It's like, oh,
what were your intentions? What was your motives behind everything you were doing? Yeah, business is great. Girl was great. You know, everything was going flourishing. But what was the meaning of all that? And then you gotta, you know?
I don't know. So I got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And that was my start of a new book of my life. You know, this is how I'm gonna. This is my journey, and this is now where I want to go. Now I feel more. You feel different.
Yeah.
Like, I don't look at time. I don't look at months or years or time or anything. It's current. Power of now. You know, you are in the moment, and you are just focusing on. You know where you're going, but you're living because you're passionate about every moment of your life.
Yeah.
As opposed to, you know, working 9 to 5. And so, say I got friends. I was just with a friend. He works 7 to 7, Monday to Friday, 12 hours a day. And so we started doing the math. You know, like, and he said, I'm so beat after work that, like, you know, I might hang out for like an hour or two, but I go right to bed. So he's got like an hour a day. You know, and then he's got like a few hours on Saturday and Sunday, but in reality he's out drinking because, you know, he's in a blurred, intoxicated state to forget about his week, you know. And so we broke it down through the amount of hours he works, the amount of hours he has free time, and he's only living about 10% of his life. The rest of it he's donating to his job that he doesn't like, or, you know, some intoxicated state.
Oh my goodness. He
has no ability to have hobbies, and when you catch yourself in that rat race, time flies by.
Yeah.
You know, the next thing you know, you wake up and you're 30, and one of the truest things I've ever said was, you know, everybody says you're so young, you got time. Like, don't worry, you're so young. You know, and you're only young until you're no longer young.
Yeah.
You know, it's like you're 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then, you know, everyone's like, oh, you're great. Like, don't worry, you're so young. You hit 30. It's like, damn, what's wrong with you, man?
Yeah,
get your shit together.
Where you been at?
Get your life together. What have you been doing for the past 10 years?
What you been saying?
You tell me I'm young. Nah, man, you're not young. You're 30. You should be settling down. You should have a good job or start your own company or start your own something.
Yeah.
You know, do you have a girlfriend? You know, it's like, whoa.
Yeah, we getting married, man.
So you got to start looking ahead of that. And then even worse is when people are in college and they're... So when I was in college, I saw a lot of my fraternity brothers, and they were just... And not even them, just like people I was around, just so excited about those 4 years. And like, these are the best 4 years. You know, my dad told me these are the best 4 years of my life. I got to enjoy it. So they went balls to the wall, like reckless, for 4 years. It's like, I'm drinking every night. I'm skipping class. I'm doing this and that. for 4 years because I got to get a job after this, and that's gonna suck. I'm gonna be working 9 to 5. Like they've already committed to giving the rest of their life up. So like these are if those are your 4 years of life, then you're gonna live a very, very sad next 60, 70 years.
Yeah.
You're giving up 70% of your life with that mindset.
Yeah.
So what I urge kids to do in college is to start setting yourself up. Start asking these questions when you're 20, 21. You don't necessarily like have to start a business or have to like determine where you want to be, but you just start asking the questions so you can start to find the answers. And it's a long journey.
Yeah.
And it's a rigorous trail. But you got to start somewhere. And the younger you start, the easier it'll be.
Yeah, and I think those 4 years, you either get one or the other, like what you mentioned, the balls to the wall guy that just parties hard every night and then drops out or whatever happens to him, somehow gets by. And then you also have those people that find a way to discipline themselves, earn those qualities that literally, college I believe is a 4-year platform, 5 years, 6, however long it takes you to set you up for eternity. Because the habits that you pick up there, the friendships, the networking, all these things find a way to come full circle, depending on the life you lived. If you party the whole time, guess what? You're going to only know people that party the whole time. And those people that stopped partying and, chased after a bigger dream or became ambitious, they won't go back to you, because they've already left that life behind.
Right.
So you have to look at, I would say anybody that's investing into going to college or, higher level education, invest that time to set yourself up for eternity. Think like that. Think eternally. Like, don't think for tomorrow. Don't think for today. Also, like you mentioned, you want to be in the moment, but you also want to keep thinking ahead.
Right.
Because you will be left behind. Everything's moving super fast. That idea you just had, literally somebody else could have it tomorrow.
Yeah, it's out in the universe. Everybody, it comes and goes.
It comes and goes.
And if you don't pick it up, someone else is going to get it.
Someone will transmit that message. And best believe you have to keep going. You can't stay behind. You can't get lost in this, I have time. I think sometimes that's the biggest disservice that you can do to someone, tell them that they have time. Because then we can just, I'll just sit around, and then complacency starts to set in. No, you don't have time. Set your goals, and if it doesn't work out, so what? You'll learn along the way. I believe college gives you that platform, so many resources at your disposal, so many different people you can meet. You're getting access to disciplined people and professors, deans. Like you can talk, like literally, I emailed my dean, was able to set up a meeting with him, and was able to, talk to this person.
And resources. People want to help you.
People on the streets don't have that access. You don't have that access.
Right.
You're talking to people that, have done great things and that they came back to teach you how to do it. Don't take that time for granted. Don't skip that class you just invested so much money to be a part of. Don't waste the people that believe in you, who are sponsoring you to be at this university, who putting so much into you. And I feel like it's hard for our generation to think like that because we're like, I'm young, I got time, I got this, I got that. And we take so much for granted.
Right.
But these resources, if you used it properly, like you use your resources properly, you started your own business. You used what they taught you in the classroom and applied it into reality. And you made your reality. You understand? Although it came with, its own whiplash as well.
Right.
But guess what? You learned from those lessons. So really it wasn't a negative experience at all. Because what it did, it gave you more strength. You're like, man, put more weight on the bar. I can lift it.
Right.
So these twists and turns and these different directions we get pushed in life, you have an opportunity to really, like those first 4 years of your life of development from 18 to 22, 18 to 23, that's the opportunity you get to really build your network, gain as much knowledge as you can. Our mind is a sponge.
Right.
You can hear a song one time and memorize it.
You can never stop learning if you try. That's a crazy thought that it's endless. Your mind is endless. You can always learn more. It's not like a computer where it's like you're done. Your storage is done.
Bro.
It's endless.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating.
Yeah, it is. And if you yourself can learn for eternity, then you have to set up your life for eternity. You can't stop at one point. Okay, all right, this is it. No, you have to keep going. You got to keep grinding. And
I feel like we're not pushing that message enough in schools. I feel like too many times we're training kids how to just get a job and be Mr. 9 to 5. There's nothing wrong with Mr. 9 to 5. I'm not saying that. But like, how often are we pushing people to take themselves to the next level? To reach that brink of creativity, to reach that brink of being a pioneer of innovation. We're not pushing those messages anymore. You know, even our music, everything is almost causing us to be less aware, less conscious. Like, are we looking at the problems and are we thinking about solutions? We're not pushing that message. You know, and I believe that's why people like you exist. People like me exist. And the great speakers of this world exist. You know, the Tony Robbins, these guys. You got to hear these guys and you go, man, okay, like, someone's going to hear this and go, man, you know what? That's a good point.
Yeah, and you know, I wasn't going to say this because I don't want to sound like cocky or anything, but I think it should be heard. You know, most people like don't have financial IQ. They don't have financial intelligence. And financial intelligence is what has helped me save my ass multiple times. So when I fall, I've got something to land on.
Yeah.
You know, I got a big safety blanket because I save a lot. So like, I wear the same shoes for well over a year to the gym. They got a hole in them, but like, you know what? I don't buy it, you know, and I don't buy other clothes. Like, I got so many of my friends that got way less money and they got way nicer things. But you know what? I didn't graduate $100K in debt. I graduated $100K in the bank.
Woo. Talk to him.
And I don't say that to brag, but I say that because I made smart investments. I was investing in the stock market at 20, 21. You know, I bought Apple at 94.
Wow.
After the stock split, you know, because I learned and I took risks. And you can't join the big leagues when you're playing on the sideline.
Nah.
You know, but you gotta educate yourself on what you're doing. You can't just be throwing money at random things because your boy says it.
Yeah.
You know, you educate yourself. You read books, you read articles, you study what you're gonna do. And then you execute.
Execution.
You know, my favorite quote right now is vision without execution is hallucination.
Woo.
Because you might have the best vision in the world, but if
Yeah.
you're not executing, man,
Yeah.
you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. And people don't want to hear that.
No, like, oh man, I'm a visionary. I got all the ideas. Okay, well, where's your execution?
How are you going to execute that plan? Yeah.
Not even how you're going to do it. That's step one. Now it's time to put the boots on.
Yeah.
Strap up because we're going.
Yeah.
Like, this is how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
And you got to go, and it's not always fun and games.
No, it will not be. It will not be.
You know, and it's scary to take risks, but you also got to detach yourself from money. You know, there can't be an emotional attachment to money where it's, I love this money. You know, I hold it dear to my heart. You know, that's a tool. And until you start treating it like a tool, until you own that money, it's gonna own you. You know, you got to treat it like a bartering system. Where like, I'm gonna put this over there so that it grows. You know, you hold a seed in your hand, it doesn't do anything. You put a seed and you plant it, it grows a tree.
What? Yeah. So I want to ask you this: what would you rather have, money or access?
At my age, access.
Yeah.
You know, I literally just invested into a business for access to contacts that I know can help me.
Yeah.
And that's what you got to do when you're young. You got to take those risks. Because if you save up 10, 20, 30 grand, whatever you get, 100 grand, and you just like hoard it, you'll be 30. And then you have 10, 20, 30, 100 grand.
Yeah.
40, 10, 20, 30, 100 grand.
And then for those that understand the time value of money, you don't want to get too deep into that, but like that 10, 20, 30 grand you had, you didn't invest into anything, just lost its value. Now it's 15 grand.
Right.
Now
it's going down. It's depreciating as opposed to appreciating.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that people need to start to learn. You know, and when you read and when you educate yourself, it's called self-education. Your education doesn't stop at 4 years, but when you get that self-education and you keep growing and growing and growing, you just change your life.
Yeah.
You know, you can learn things in these books, things you already knew, but the way they phrase them in the book, It's one of those wow
moments. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Now I get it.
Yeah. Creates like this epiphany for you right away, and you just, for all of a sudden, it just makes sense. All the pieces of the puzzle just come together, and self-education is definitely key. I know earlier we talked about college, but then if you're not taking the initiative to study when you're not in class, when you're out of school too, because people think at school learning stops. No, it does not. You got to keep pushing yourself to learn. And those risks that you took in the market, you couldn't have taken those risks if you didn't understand the fluctuations, the volatility of the market, the different trends, And I think a lot of time people say, oh, investing money, that I can't do that. I don't have enough, or I don't know enough about it. But why don't you know enough about it? You could learn. I'm watching these guys with these business journals in their hands. They're walking around in their cargo pants and their thong sandals. You're like, what does this guy do for a living?
Right. And I've seen guys like that get into Ferraris and just drive away, and I'm like,
yeah. and you always left yourself to wonder, like, what is he doing different?
And there's another guy with a Ferragamo belt, but instead of putting that $500 on your waist, put that $500 in the market, and you might lose that $500. But what you'll learn is financial knowledge.
Yes.
Like how'd that happen? Why'd that happen?
And I think the biggest reason for that, you mentioned a guy that's spending $500 into the market against a guy that's spending $500 on a belt, is the fact that we're pushing too much materialism to the young adults, to the next generation. We're pushing materialism. We're not pushing financial literacy. We're not pushing, logical thinking. We're thinking, hey, buy stuff and it'll help you look better and people will like you more, Right. And it goes back to the idea of, self-worth. And like, people don't know what financial literacy even means. Ask somebody our age that question, ask them. And it's not to down anybody. It's just like, let's be honest here. And things that we've been talking about today are just like, what things are you doing right now to improve your lifestyle, to improve your purpose, to give yourself greater fulfillment? And what's the point of having wealth and financial literacy? It's so that you can reach the masses, so you can help other people. Give yourself that freedom that you always wanted.
Right.
Because if you live life for yourself, then you're already dead.
And that's a scary thing.
I mean, think about it. And I think those people choose to do different things with their money, and I'm not against that. But I know if I had access, not even money, if I had access, more access than I do have now, it would be about giving other people opportunities. It would be about opening doors for other people. It would be like what you're doing, finding ways to catch the ear of somebody that hasn't heard this before.
Yeah, you set yourself up on a podium. You get your own podium. They won't give you one. You get your own.
Get your own, man. Yeah. Exactly. There is no limit.
Right. Well, I think that's a good way to end it.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's definitely been great, man. You sparked a new fire in me. Just hearing your testimony and hearing where you come from and the great successes and the great trials, the tribulations. Those are powerful stuff.
I appreciate it. You as well.
Yeah, man.
We're in different fields, but it's at the end of the day, the same mission.
Yeah, same mission, man.
Empowerment, love, helping others. And
yeah.
I think that's huge.
Yeah, so. Man. And then leaving one thing, a generational legacy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, again, this was a Young Nation podcast show sponsored by Room 215. Rest in peace, 215. An expensive lesson.
Yeah.
So, Martin Nelson, thank you again.
All right,
thank you for coming, and we'll have to do this again.
Yeah, man, for sure. Thanks for having me, man. It's been a blast.
Keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah, man.
Proud of you.
Yeah, thank you, man. Appreciate that. It means a lot.